YouTube, welcome to my channel, Taylor Talks Tales. Today I have a book tag video for you. I know I just did a tag video a couple days ago, but I'm running out of time to do this tag because we're already partway through December, and I realized, oh, there's only a couple more weeks left, and then it's the end of the year. So I'm doing the end of the year tag for you today, but I'm also combining it with my TBR, basically getting those two birds with one stone action going on. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. Apologies for the phone, just want to keep in order. Alright, question 1. Are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Yes. There are actually 4 books. First one's The Once and Future King by T.H. White. I started reading it back in October. It was one of my ex's favorite books of all time, so I wanted, my goal in our relationship was to read every single book that he loved, and I picked it up because he owned a copy. I started reading it, and I was really enjoying it, but because I'm a mood-based reader, and it was October, I found myself really wanting the thriller and horror and like the very fall vibey books, and at least when I was reading that, I didn't quite get that fall vibe I wanted, so I set it down. I got about a quarter of the way through, and so now I'm planning on picking it back up. I just ordered it for my Kindle. I'm not a big Kindle user, but it was so cheap on there, so I figured I would order that. I don't know if I'm gonna get through to the end of the year, but that's my goal. Second book is Wilder Girls by Rory Powers. I actually pre-ordered that book. I was so excited. It just sounded right up my alley. I was, a bunch of girls on an isolated island, and there's plague and monsters and all that stuff. It just sounded very exciting. And I started reading it, but I set it down for 2 reasons. One, work was just super, super stressful, and I wanted to kind of wait until it calmed down a little bit for me to enjoy and read that book. And 2, a hold at the library came in, and so I'd set it down. And now I can't find my copy anywhere. I have no idea where it ended up. I don't have it, and I don't really want to spend money and buy it again, so I put it on hold, but I don't know when it's gonna come through because there's a lot of people ahead of me on the holds, so it's probably gonna be something I finish in 2020. Third one was Bunny by, I forgot what the author's name is. Sorry, I'm just blanking on it, but it just came out this year. I was really enjoying that book. It was really messed up and kind of funny. It's not a book for everybody, I know, but I was enjoying it. I got more than halfway through, but I was about to leave for an almost 2-week trip back to Pennsylvania, so, and I knew that my hold was, basically it was due like halfway through the trip, and I didn't want to accrue a ton of fees, so I had to sadly return it. But I plan on returning to it because I want to finish it. It's on hold at the library again, but there's people ahead of me, so I'm probably gonna have to wait. And then the fourth one is The Last Blade? The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I'd also gotten started on that because that's also a book that my ex had recommended and really liked this trilogy, and because I'm starting to get more into high fantasy, and because I like dark, gritty books, and this is a grim, dark fantasy trilogy, I got started on that, but again, it was back in, I think, September, October, and I was wanting more Halloween and autumnal video feels and vibes and aesthetics, so that's why I set it down. I actually ended up with his copy, so I'm gonna try to return it to him at some point, but I'm gonna read it before I return it. Alright, question number 2. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Not too much in particular. I think at this point of the year, I historically will reread Nosferatu by Joe Hill because it has Christmas Land, and I also sometimes will read The Shining or Misery or one of Stephen King's snowy books. I tend to, after Thanksgiving, it's wintry books, or I also tend to get into like heavier books or bigger series or stuff like that because I live in Western Washington, and the weather is always perfect here to just stay inside all day, drink tea, read books, all that. I tend to do a lot more reading in the fall, winter, spring here, because in the summer it's actually pretty nice, and I try to do more outdoorsy activities because I'm a pretty outdoorsy person. So yeah. Question. Ooh. Sorry, I'm dropping my phone. 3, is there a new release you're still waiting for? Not really. At this point of the year, all of the big exciting books that I was waiting for have been released. Most recent release, well, there are actually 2 that they're part of my TBR, but one was The Reddening by Adam Neville. As soon as I heard about that book, I was just waiting for it, counting down the days. And also The Bone Houses, I was looking forward to that as well, and so they're both out, and they're both part of my TBR. At least for 2020, there's a book by Mandy McGinnis coming out that's a survival book, and it just looks really, really cool. It's a girl who gets lost on a camping trip, and she has to find her way out. And I know that plot's been done before, but I will literally read any book that sounds like that, so I think that's a release I'm looking forward to. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? So I'm going to switch this slightly up, and this is where I'm doing my TBR, because there are multiple books I want to get through the end of the year on. First is this beautiful boy, The Reddening by Adam Neville, who did The Ritual, and I just love this book so much. It's so soft, like the actual book itself. I'm gonna read the back to you, and then we're just gonna plow through this. I don't want the video to be too long. 1,000,000 years of evolution didn't change our nature, nor did it bury the horrors predating civilization. Ancient rites, old deities, and savage ways can reappear in the places you least expect. Lifestyle journalist Katrin escaped past traumas by moving to a coast renowned for seaside holidays and natural beauty. But when a vast horde of human remains and prehistoric artifacts is discovered in nearby Brickburg, a hideous shadow engulfs her life. Helen, a disillusioned lone parent, lost her brother Lincoln 6 years ago. Disturbing subterranean noises he recorded prior to vanishing draw her to Brickburg's caves, a site where early humans butchered each other across 60,000 years. Upon the walls, images of their nameless gods remain. Amidst rumors of drug plantations and new sightings of the mythical red folk, it also appears that the Inquisitive have been disappearing from this remote part of the world for years. A rural idyll where outsiders are unwelcome and where an infernal power is believed to linger beneath the earth. A timeless supernormal influence that only the desperate would dream of confronting. But to save themselves and those they love, and to thwart a crimson tide of pitiless barbarity, Kat and Helen are given no choice. They were involved and condemned before they knew it. So, I'm really excited for this. It kind of reminds me a little bit of The Descent, but maybe with a little bit of Lovecraft and just all this. So, this is my most anticipated read, and I'm getting into it today. I'm very, very excited. And then, in fact, I'm not going to go through Our War again because I already did that in my library haul, but I am currently reading this one, and I'm enjoying it. But because I'm way too excited for The Reddening, I am sitting it down for just a little bit, and then this will be the second book. But basically, this book is following the aftermath of America just descending into civil war, and already when I'm reading it, I'm like, whoa, this is hitting close to home. This is a fairly dark book, but I am enjoying it. I have to get to The Reddening. I'm just so excited about that. Next one is The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. I love this cover. I need to get through this pretty quickly because I have a book club coming up. I finally have decided to rejoin the YA book club in my area. They're not super active, but they only meet once a month, but it's better than nothing, and I'm hoping to meet some people who are also into YA and who live near me. I'll read the blurb to you really quick, and then we're going to continue on. Nothing stays buried forever. 17-year-old Rin cares about only 2 things, her family and her family's graveyard. And right now, both are in dire straits. Since the death of their parents, Rin and her siblings have been scraping together a meager existence as gravediggers in the remote village of Colburn, which sits at the foot of a harsh and deadly mountain range that was once home to the Fae. The problem with being a gravedigger in Colburn, though, is that the dead don't always stay dead. The risen corpses are known as bone houses, and legend says that they're the result of an old curse. When Ellis, an apprentice mapmaker with a mysterious past, arrives in town, the Bonehouses attack with a new ferocity. What is it that draws them near? And more importantly, how can they be stopped for good? Together, Ellis and Rin embark on a journey that will take them into the heart of the mountains, where they will have to face both the curse and the deeply buried truths about themselves. Yeah. So, that's also, gotta get through that one. And then 2 Anya Alborn books, Brother and The Devil Crept In. This is sort of more of a murder mystery. This is more just creepy families murdering people and all that good stuff. So I don't want to go too much depth, but I'm planning on doing this one after Bonehouses, and then The Devil Crept In, unless if Brother's really terrible, then maybe I will skip that. But I have high hopes for Brother and just Anya Alborn in general. And then, of course, the novella for Becky Chambers series, Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, or the Wayfarers series. This is going to be super quick and easy, so it's just helping me complete the series and also add to my Goodreads challenge. And then, of course, Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstance, a little bit different than some of the other books on there, but I've just heard amazing things about this. I know a couple people say this is like their all-time favorite book. It's got magical realism and is following this one very unique character, and looking forward to that. So this is the next one on the list. And then I do have Some Will Not Sleep. I actually got this before I got the reddening, and then I decided to splurge and buy myself the reddening as an early Christmas present because I've been very good about not splurging too much on books and overspending, so I felt like I could reward myself. So this is just a short story collection. It sounds really interesting, so I want to get to that. And then the last 2 books I'm hoping to get through, No Exit by Taylor Adams, which is this is a thriller where a bunch of people are snowed in essentially at a rest stop, and a girl she's trying to save another little girl and figure out who has kidnapped this little girl that's stuck in a car, basically. And it takes place in Utah, and it's snowy, and so, snowy read. I always try to read at least a book that involves winter and snow around this time of year. And the last one is The Fisherman. And this one, if I don't get to this one, that's okay. I probably won't, but I don't know a whole lot about this book, just that I've heard good things about it, and I kind of want to just go into it fairly blind, not knowing what's going on. So those are the books TBR for month of December. I don't know how much I'm going to get through because I am also currently working on my book, and that it's a lot of work. So, okay. 5. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Well, The Reddening or Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstance, perhaps. Those are kind of my 2 guesses of that TBR stack that I've shared. Who knows? Any of them could. I do kind of know, at least right now, what my favorite books of the year are going to be. We'll see if this stack changes it. And I definitely am planning on doing like a top 10 favorite books of 2019 at the very end of December. Alright. Number 6. Have you already started making reading plans for 2020? Yes, I have. So, I plan on getting through some more series in 2020, definitely finishing up the books I mentioned in question 1. For my birthday, my ex got me the entire Dresden Files series because when it was my birthday, I had mentioned like, oh, I always have wanted people to, for a birthday gift me their favorite book and tell me why. So he had gifted me the entire series, and I was super excited. And I kept wanting to just get into it, but I kept putting it off. Not because I wasn't interested, but just because I'm like terrible sometimes at following through on things I say I'm going to do. Character flaw that I'm working on. And so I've started reading the series, so I'm on book 5, and I want to get through the entire series, so that's a goal for that. And if I end up liking the Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, then I want to finish that trilogy. And also The Dark Tower. So I read the first 3 books of The Dark Tower long ago, and then for whatever reason didn't continue. Not because I wasn't interested, it just sometimes with big series I get distracted by a standalone or a new release or something, so I put it down. But I really want to get through The Dark Tower. I just really enjoyed it. I read The Talisman earlier this year and it reminded me a lot of The Dark Tower and Eyes of the Dragon, so there's like some Stephen King books that kind of made me in the mood for The Dark Tower, so that's definitely something I want to get through. And then of course just chugging along and making sure I make my Goodreads goal, which is always 100 books every year. I usually hit it. It's tricky. I almost always used to hit it, even in college, and then for a couple years after college with being busy with work, I would get close. And it always sucks when you have like 98 books and you're like, I was just 2 away. Or sometimes I surpass it. You never know. But that's definitely hitting that 100 book goal every year. It's always what I want to do. And then just, seeing how things go. I don't want to have like too many solid plans for 2020, but definitely that. And then probably incorporating a little bit more craft books, like, writing craft books. I really don't read much nonfiction, so I want to change that and do a little bit more of that. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what, if you do this tag, link it to me so I can watch it. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you think about it. And thank you so much, and happy reading, and have a great day.